Hey, it's Jazz, and unbelievably so, I am in Toronto right now with Robert Trujillo from Metallica. Thank you so much for joining us today for a little quick interview. I'm shaking.
Mm,
I know you've done this a million times, and I've been in radio a long time, but this
uh-huh.
is pretty cool to have you with
Cool.
us.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Yeah, yeah. Well, thank you. I'm glad that you're shaking, and yeah, it's exciting to be here.
The show last night was unbelievable. I had never seen you live before, which
Hmm.
to me is kind of a shocker. But your fan base is rabid. I mean, they are insane. And I think had that been an all ages place, you would have had kids there all the way up to there were 60 and 70-year-olds there. And how do you keep the staying power going with that? I mean, you just maintain it year over year over year.
Well, I think it's the fans feeding off of, you know, our energy and our love for what we do. It's really pure. I mean, I've been in a lot of situations in my career, and to see the dedication and the inspiration from Lars, James, and Kirk for music, and enjoying metal and what, they do, just between the three of them, and then collectively, what we do together is where I think a lot of the magic comes from. The work ethic never strays,
Mm.
and again, making music for ourselves, which again sometimes pisses our fans off because they're, I heard something recently like, oh, people like the album, but well, they reconnected with the thrash because they needed to win their fans over again, and that's the biggest joke ever. It's like, because I'm telling you, I know these guys, I know how we develop songs, and I know what we do, and it's all about just going with the flow of where we're at that time and what we're feeling for ourselves. And maybe it's selfish, but that's just the reality. And it seems that this body of music is connecting with a lot of people.
Yeah.
Maybe it's the timing and the way the world is, and who knows why. But also, I think they're feeling the sound and the production and the dedication from our producer and our team. Putting in the work and the effort to make this great.
So, speaking of the way the world is now,
Mm-hmm.
Hardwired to Self Destruct, the album title,
Mm-hmm.
there are people that are hardwired to self
Oh
destruct.
yeah.
There's technology that is these days. You got to
Yeah.
wonder about business and politics
Mm-hmm.
and even just the ecology of the world. What does the title mean for you?
Well, the title means for me exactly that. And it's funny because it wasn't like it was. I don't think it was purposely planned to sort of coexist with the state of the world today. I think actually in recent times, and talking to James and where his head's at is kind of like a lot of that stemmed from like him having a conversation with a friend and for whatever reason just you know making whatever mistakes as a man
Yeah.
and maybe the wife being upset or disappointed or whatever. It could be like you lost the car keys again or whatever, you know. And he says, man, maybe as men we're just hardwired. And then it's like, yeah, hardwired to self-destruct. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So again, in the world of Metallica, everything's open for interpretation. So even the title alone says a lot. So it can be about that, which is where he was sort of communicating it from. But at the same time, you go, wow, look what's happening today now.
Mm.
So you can really take that in many different directions. I tend to think that it's a balance of everything, but it really kind of speaks to me in a way that, yeah, the world is a crazy place on a lot of different levels. You got to watch your back, whether it's in big business or who you're going to trust out there
Yeah.
or, addiction on any level. There's a lot of problems in the world. How do we fix it? Wow, it's all hardwired and it's hardwired to destruct, but at the same time, you could put any word there.
Yeah.
Hardwired to achieve, hardwired to failure, hardwired to, to eat fatty foods or whatever. It's all possible with that title. And I love the title. I think it's great.
It is, definitely. The fans last night, they know every word to every song,
It's crazy,
and
yeah.
they know every movement that you guys do on stage.
I saw something in the fans, at least in the ones that I could see up front, which was really special. Yeah, they were reciting the lyrics, but they were reciting the lyrics with like just um, kind of renewed vigor. You know, there was just like this incredible energy that was coming from there. They were so happy. And when I say that, I mean with the new songs. I'm not talking about Master of Puppets or the classics. I'm talking about like Moth into Flame and Atlas Rising. You know, they were like, when those songs came, it was like the opposite of what normally happens with a new song, where everybody kind of just starts yawning and, you know, phasing out for whatever, however many minutes. No, they were like, yes, bam, you know, jumping higher and yelling louder. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
That's something that I haven't seen in a while.
And you guys feed off the energy, because when you come out at first, you're very serious. And by the end of the show, there was lots of good smiles on stage.
Yeah, we had a good time. We really let the show come to us last night, and just let it kind of take us over, I guess you could say. There was a lot of things that I felt that I hadn't felt in a while. These small shows have been going really well. Each show is sort of its own experience, and it's been special. Like whether it's been Webster Hall or the Vans. We played an indoor crazy skate park in London called House of Vans, and that was super fun. But last night there was a couple moments where I found like a nice, comfortable zone as a bass player in a way, you know, where I felt my instrument, and I just felt something special about that. And I love when that happens as a player, and where I'm kind of locking in with Lars and finding that balance. So it was nice to feel that last night.
Yeah.
And again, I hope it continues and grows.
Yeah, well, you know, the entire world is waiting for the tour now, which is great. So you mentioned addiction earlier, and Moth into Flame, celebrity addiction, where the world is now with TMZ, et cetera, et cetera. How have your entire life has been in this crazy, not entirely real world, or a different version of it, a different parallel. How have you survived?
Well, it's interesting. I'm kind of this odd person who I feel I'm pretty grounded. You know, my car hasn't changed. I'm still driving around in my Subaru, and you know, and in a lot of ways, I mean, I'm still friends with the same friends I've had, some of them since high school. That hasn't changed. You know, family man, do the best I can for the family. In fact, we came back from that European run about a week ago, and I got home. I was really inspired, and we got back on Saturday. By Sunday, I was coming up with new ideas, and then by Monday, my reality was like, oh, okay, you're home. You got to take the kids to school. You got to go to the grocery store. You've got to take the car in for a smog check. You've got to, you know, all these things.
Life.
You know, life, which is, you know, the way it is. I mean, that's the reality, and that's okay, and that's good. But, you know, I always try to really keep it balanced and stay centered, and realize that I'm lucky to be doing what I do, and it takes hard work. And you know, it's not one thing just to be able to play good. You know, you've got to work hard. You've got to do your homework. You've got to be prepared. For instance, on this new music, there's a lot of little background vocal moments. You know, so in some of those melodies are completely different from what James is singing. I mean, completely different. It's like, you know, counter kind of to what he's doing. So there's work involved, and I try to stay ahead of the game, you know, when I'm working with the bands. You know, and you can get bogged down with all your responsibilities all across the board, whether it's domestic or band related or other things, you know. And I think in life, you know, you challenge yourself. Just that whole thing is finding your balance, being cool, and counting your blessings, you know.
Yeah, be grateful. No kidding. So you're the same age as my older brother, and my exposure to music growing up was like David Bowie and Pink Floyd, and it was all albums. So what does Record Store Day mean for you? Because you guys are pretty highly tuned into that.
Record Store Day is amazing. You know, I feel that the vinyl movement is important. I think there's so much magic in those old bits of vinyl, you know, and whether it's the artwork or it's just, to me, I think that the rise of and the renewed interest in vinyl is very exciting. for what we do and where we came from and what we grew up with, whether it was Led Zeppelin or Pink Floyd, or even like just jazz records, and when you put that needle on there, and it's just this whole experience that you take, and it's really a journey, and to have that come back, and have Record Store Day have that impact all around the world, is really special. And for us to be sort of um, taking that journey with Record Store Day and being a part of the celebration is really exciting. I'm just glad that it sort of came from this really grassroots, this rootsy movement, and it's turned into what it's been. It's all passion driven. That to me is really special. That's what we need, to keep music alive and relevant, and to get young people to to play instruments, and actually write and record, and keep rock music alive. We need Record Store Day, and it's a great thing to have, and it's growing, so hopefully it continues.
So the videos got released at the same time as the album, and we did the whole drop the countdown with our radio station, and the fans went insane about getting the new album, and every day it was like, yeah, and then we did the 1 hour feature as well that you guys did, which was amazing. One of the videos, I noticed it was in your recording studio, and it looks like that's a well lived in space. How long have you guys been there?
Oh, that space. Well, I've been in the band for almost 14 years, and they had been in there just before that. But there's a lot of history to that place.
Yeah.
I mean, back in the day, bands like Journey were there rehearsing in Santana, I think, and a lot of the Bay Area bands from the '80s, and I think maybe Eddie Money. I don't know. It's like kind of crazy groups that you grew up listening to from that part of the world. Um, but for us, HQ is like our clubhouse. It's where we can really become creative. A lot of our ideas are created away from HQ. A lot of it happens on the road in our little traveling jam space, wherever we are, coming up with ideas and riffs and jamming. But then ultimately we end up at HQ, the space that you talk about. And that's where we recorded Hardwired. We've done a lot of great things there. And if you've seen the film Some Kind of Monster, documentary about the band, that's when I first joined in 2003. That basically is all happening there, when I was asked to join the band, the whole thing. So there's a lot of great history there that goes back, a fair amount of time. Again, the clubhouse, our fan club, is there as well. And I thought it was really cool that today people can actually see that environment and where it all happens, and all the banners from all the tours, flying in our on our ceiling, and you get inspiration from that. It's pretty cool.
You can feel the vibe.
Yeah.
It comes through in the video for sure.
Yeah.
So your life is music, but it's also film and art, and the whole you come out on a bunch of different levels. So tell me a little bit more about that.
Well, I'm 52 now, and I many years ago I fell in love with making videos, like back when I was in Infectious Grooves and Suicidal Tendencies. It's mainly with Infectious Grooves. I had done a couple of videos, and a lot of them were centered sort of partly in animation, and a lot with crazy masks, with Infectious Groove masks and all this. And I had young filmmakers working with me, and we'd go to the mountains in Santa Monica, and we'd film like stuff that I couldn't imagine doing today, and it was really exciting, and it was fun. A lot of this stuff ended up on MTV, so that energy for me was important, because at a certain point in time, I realized that with film I wanted to get a little more involved in it. I just didn't know when, and ultimately there was a situation that developed that I could be a part of, and it was about my favorite bass player, Jaco Pastorius. And I basically adopted a film project, and I realized that I need to get deeper into this if it's going to become a reality. So I financed it, I ultimately became the producer and really, really took it over in a passionate way. And after 6 years of really hard work and I mean, the most difficult thing I ever did, it became a reality, and it's become kind of an underground success, and we've won a few film festival awards, which is kind of cool. But ultimately, the coolest thing is having people like, you know, actors like Liev Schreiber or Bill Hader, you know, say, you know, I love the film, and I don't know these people, you know, and just but then also having like, you know, Dave Matthews come up to me, or the harmonica player for Willie Nelson's band, or you know, Don Cheadle, the actor, whatever. It's cool because people are recognizing the film and they're feeling it for the right reasons,
Yeah.
and it's really just sharing his story, but also bringing awareness to the music of Weather Report or Joni Mitchell or Ian Hunter, and we've got a strong cast between Flea and Joni and Herbie Hancock and all these special individuals. So I highly recommend seeing it. And then beyond that, animation. I did an animated short called Metallica Parking Lot, which is really fun, and I think everybody should see it. I think they're going to really like it. I don't want to say too much about that because I think it'll be a surprise
Good tease.
for those who haven't seen it. So I love all that.
Yeah.
And I love that we did 12 videos for 12 songs on the new album. And I was able to sort of help commandeer some of that with the directors and getting people in there. And again, hopefully all of this will continue to grow for Metallica because we're really excited. In a way, it feels like a new beginning. And we're challenging ourselves with not just the music, but even some of the visuals and where that can go, you know, and it feels good.
Yeah, we are. I mean, with smartphones and video and YouTube and everything like that. I think I have time for one more question. What does radio mean for you these days? Because there's people get their music so many different ways now.
Well, you know, I'm one of the unique individuals where my kids and my wife and I, we listen to the radio. And
Yay!
yeah, we listen to the radio, and we still have CDs in my Subaru, and we listen to CDs. And that's just how we are. You know, there's a little bit of old school in us. At the same time, I recognize that there is, you know, all the internet stuff going on with radio and all that. So it's really a balance, you know. I like having the spirit of some of the radio vibe and just the magic of that, just in the same way that I love the spirit of vinyl, and I feel it's all a part of celebrating the art of music, and it's the spirit, you know what I mean, that really kind of has to do with it, and that's why I feel, you know, or I'm afraid that the young people will hopefully not miss out on all this, and you know, it's important for them to experience it, to understand what that all means and what it means for what we do and what has helped make Metallica what Metallica is. And anybody, I mean, whether it's Stevie Wonder or Led Zeppelin or it doesn't matter, you know, or Miles Davis, you know, it's all a part of this magical experience that's important for for people to know and understand. We can't lose that.
Yeah. Okay, I'm going to sneak in one last question.
Okay.
Your son, Ty, so I have a 14-year-old girl, and she'll never follow me into broadcasting. I know that for sure. But he's following you into music. Do you guys talk? Do you get the, oh, Dad?
Yeah, no, he's actually really inspired, and he's done it naturally. I didn't force him into it. Originally, he was playing drums, and then at age 5, when I got him a decent kit, he quit. You know, well, he didn't quit, but he just sort of stopped. He'd kill me if I said he quit. He was, I didn't quit. You know, he basically just stopped playing the drums, but he picked up a bass, and the great thing is he started working hard and practicing on his own, and with that I kind of started trying to help him with some of his own ideas, and now he's just coming up with these incredible riffs on guitar or on bass. I mean, it's like, man, you're like a seasoned writer already at 12. And he has a band called the Helmets. Yeah. And they've opened for the Chili Peppers, and they've done Lollapalooza, and they're going to be playing down in Argentina and Chile. as well, and they're great. I mean, really, it blows my mind because their originals are strong, and I'm kind of like, wow, you know, it's one thing to play covers, but it's another thing if you can play your originals and they hold up live.
Yeah.
You know, they just hang right up there with you know, great cover songs.
Just like Dad.
So they're on their way, and you know, I really feel that it's the youth that's going to change things and keep music alive, at least rock music. So I'm happy and I'm proud of what he's doing with his creative, you know, abilities and where he's directing it.
So I hope that we see you soon on the road. I
Yeah.
know next year is going to be crazy, and come
Yeah.
out to the West Coast because that's where we are.
Okay, yeah, well, I'm sure we will.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I heard some talks about it last night at dinner, and
Nothing official yet, but
yeah, it's in the works
Yeah.
for sure. There's some excitement.
well, yay, we're
Yeah.
super excited about that.
Yeah, well-
And thank you for last night. It was amazing.
Well, thanks for having us.